I mean, on that note, though, the Oleinik and Daukaus one I found interesting because when we were making our picks before the fight, I had taken Oleinik just on the basis of his experience. Yeah, he's on the older side, but dude, look at that record: 59, 15-1.
Yeah, nuts.
That's no joke, man. This
and versus 11-3. Now these are updated after yesterday's fight, but still, you have 14 total fights versus like over 70.
Yeah,
or close to 70, whatever. Yeah, over 70.
Yeah, well, and then so I switched we met up.
Yeah, because I said, send me your picks. You said Oleinik, and then like 5 minutes later, you're like, never mind, I'm going Daukaus. Yeah. I also picked Oleinik too, and I stuck with that. I was like, I don't know, man. He's at 59 fights, 59 wins. I want to see that 60th happen. He's already 43 or something. He's like, who knows when I think he's lost 2 in a row at least, so you don't know at this point for him too.
Well, my logic behind the switch was looking at who Chris Daukaus had actually fought. I watched the highlights of his fight against Ferreira, the October 10th, and it kind of like changed my opinion a little bit because he looked vicious, dude. He looked mean. And he TKO'd Ferreira. I'm looking at this, round 1, 45 seconds in. That was nuts to observe.
Yeah.
So it kind of shifted my thinking a little bit. And for a minute there, I thought maybe I had made a really poor decision and I should have stuck with my original pick with Oleinik. But holy crap, man. He knocked him out. Well, technically knocked him out. Yeah, that was nuts to observe.
Yeah, because we were talking in the beginning, we're like, this is exactly where Oleinik should be. He immediately had him in the clinch. He had him against the fence. And I think he tried, there we go, 1 takedown attempt. He tried to get him down, and props to Daukaus for not going down. Because that was one where he was like almost pulling him down or something, right? And then he just didn't get him. It was something. And I was like, this is bad for Daukaus. This is bad for Daukaus. And I'm like, oh, he's good. I think he literally shook off Oleinik. Yeah. I might be mixing up the fights, but I think that was the one. I'm like, well, that's actually exactly what he kind of needed to do.
You were saying this is bad for Daukaus. This is bad for Daukaus. Get out of there. Get out of there.
And he got out
of there, man.
Yeah, and then once he started, let's talk about this too. I thought Herb Dean really lagged that call on that one, man.
There have been a bunch of iffy calls, during the prelims and the
and we'll get to that one too. But the Oleinik one, I was like, because he was working him, man, and they were connecting to it. It wasn't like the ones where like he's hitting and it's like hitting the shoulder. Like he was connecting body, he was connecting head, and Oleinik already looked to me like he was not responding to any of it. And then as soon as Herb did call it, Oleinik was standing there, and then like he went to move left, and then he like almost like toppled over.
Yeah, there was no balance left in his legs. He looked like he was dead on his feet. It was pretty nuts, man. I mean, and especially for a guy that age, taking hits like you hear Rogan talk about this all the time, but he's absolutely correct, man. Like when you're at that age, dude, each one of those hits is dangerous.
That's why I don't know for him. I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know if he has fights left on the deal. But I would imagine probably Dana's looking at that and it's like, I don't really care if you have fights left. Like you gotta call it. Because Silva had fights left too, and they still split it. So
that's what I was gonna get at, man. It reminds me of the Silva fight, and I don't even know if you should have let that happen as a final farewell.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool, but it doesn't even feel right,
And it's nuts. He fought not that long ago, Oleinik. It was like a couple months ago. I think it was towards the end of last year. Same with Arlovski. Arlovski also, I feel like they maybe fought on the same card again last time. I can't remember, but I know both of them fought relatively not that long ago.
Oleinik is a monster, dude. Yeah. He's a monster. He was on the...
Again, 43, and look at how he looks.
Like when I hit that age, I would... Lewis. It was Lewis he fought.
That's when we were in San Diego. It was July.
August
8th, we were in San Diego. I remember that because that was the main event, if I'm not mistaken. And Lewis knocked him out.
So that was an interesting pair up, I guess. And now that I'm looking at this again in retrospect, I'm realizing why I flipped the way I flipped. But what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah,
it is what it is.
And then I guess since we were talking about Arlovski, I mean, Tom Aspinall speared him through the. He was pretty much gonna spear him through the octagon. You see guys get taken against the fence. This one was the most audible one that I can remember because it sounded like it was not going to hold. He just took him down. And how efficient was he? As soon as he got him against the fence.
That choke, man.
Like if you blinked, the choke was from the time he hit the fence to you blinking, he already had his arm under him. And as soon as the arm got on Arlovski, just one tap, efficiently taps out. And that was that.
That's the moment where I realized like that was insane. I mean, other than the spearing, the fact that Arlovski just immediately knew he does one tap, and then you could see his reaction, like like he knew that was it. You're done, dude. And it's so impressive to watch, like the speed of that and the professionalism that it was done with. Because I mean, we've seen chokes, we've seen takedowns, we've seen submissions, but that looked so pro. It looked scripted almost. Yeah. It looked like this was out of a movie, dude. You planned this out in advance.
And Arlovski's 42 as well, and he won his last fight, which I think was sooner than Oleinik's then, because I think again Arlovski's fight was like probably Q4 of last year, and he fought what's that guy's name, Tanner something. That guy was kind of on a streak of his own ish, younger than Arlovski, which most of them are going to be, but I think he's like early 30s, whatever. And it was kind of a snooze fest of a fight. I think the decision was kind of also maybe a little bit questionable, but in the end, Arlovski did win it, and Arlovski's a legend in his own right too, and. Yeah, and again, 42, because we were talking about like the types of heavyweights. Aspinall looked way leaner than he has in the past, just looking at his last fight too.
Yeah, he did.
Arlovski always looks the way he looks. And then you had those first guys, those pancake titty guys in the beginning for fighting. But so those are the heavyweights really, more or less, the